Alright, so the reason I'm making this video about this book is truly because at the time of reading this book, I needed to grow as a person. I didn't really know it completely, but I kind of had an idea that I was at a little bit of a standstill as just a personal self, and I really needed to grow. And these personal self-help growth books are something that I was a little nervous about reading. Like I said, sometimes they're the same old regurgitated stuff, you know, you gotta be good, you gotta be a good person, blah, 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 blah. But after 2-3 chapters of reading this, John C. Maxwell, you know, worded it very well. You could tell he had true experience with being a leader and getting stuff started. It was really easy reading his words, and he worded it very well. So I'm just gonna quickly go through the 15 chapters and what they meant to me. So let's get right into it. All right, so chapter 1 is the law of intentionality. Growth does not just happen. Life is now in session. Are you present? So what that basically means is you can't truly grow at something if you're not intentional about it. If you're not truly putting all your focus, everything going into what you want to grow at, you're gonna grow at a much slower rate than you'd hope. If you put all your resources, all your time, all your energy, all your focusness on what you know you need to grow at, you are truly gonna grow at that thing. And that is something that obviously I learned. It comes with experience, it comes with time, you know, just realizing, okay, this is what I want to do. How do I truly grow and get better at something like this? And the law of intentionality is that, you know, you have to be very intentional and have to have true focus of where you want to go with it. So chapter 2 is the law of awareness. You must know yourself to grow yourself. This is all about truly understanding, you know, your passion, your sense of direction. What is it that you're doing with your life, and what is it that you truly want to do with your life? So having full awareness of, you know, who you are as a person is one of the first steps you have to take to truly grow as a person. You know, if you're lost and you don't know what your passion is, and you don't know what you want to really put your time to grow, put your time in to grow, it's going to be really hard to grow. So you have to be very aware of who you are as a person and what it is that makes you tick. So chapter 3 is the law of the mirror. You must see value in yourself to add value to yourself. This is very important. You have to have self-belief. You have to have a little bit of self-esteem. You gotta kick your ego in a little bit. You know, you gotta feed your ego. You don't want your head to get too big and explode on you, but you really gotta believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, how is anybody else ever gonna believe in your ideas, your opinion, your business, your ventures, your journey? No one is ever gonna have true faith and belief in you if you don't believe in yourself. So the law of the mirror is you have to see value in yourself to add value to yourself. Simple. So chapter 4 is the law of reflection. Learning to pause allows growth to catch up with you. This is something that you know, when I read this book, this hit me like a brick shit house. So basically the law of reflection is you just have to take a step back, look at what you've been working on, if you've been working at stuff, and you got to look at, okay, how can I get better at it? What have I done good? What have I, you know, made mistakes on? What have I missed? What have I lacked? What are the qualities and the skills that I lacked? What are my weaknesses, and how can I drive excellence into my weaknesses? So the law of reflection is you got to learn to pause and allow the growth to catch up to you. Take a step back and look at yourself. Like I said, every chapter, low-key, as I turned the pages, the chapters were just hitting me. They were good. They were good. Chapter 5, the law of consistency. Motivation gets you going. Discipline keeps you growing. So this is very simple, right to the point. The law of consistency. You got to be consistent to grow. If you do it once a week, it's not good enough. Somebody's doing it twice, 3 times a week. And also, if you have time to do it 3-4 times a week, why are you only doing it once a week? It's things like that. This whole book ties together. So the law of awareness, you know, finding your passions is going to help with the law of consistency. If you're not passionate about something, how can you find the energy to stay consistent? How can you find the daily passion to stay consistent, to keep driving, to keep pushing? Even when you're failing, to keep moving forward, you need to fully find that passion, and with that passion will come consistency. So chapter 6 is the law of the environment. Growth thrives in conducive surroundings. So very simple. Again, it's kind of a basic book, but it truly tells you the things that you need to be told. You know, you are who your friends are. Your top 5 friends are gonna be a portrait of yourself in certain aspects. So if your friends are lazy, if they're negative, and that's starting to overflow on you, maybe you need to take a step back and find some new friends, maybe find some new closer friends. Stop hanging out with those people as much. If you're at a work environment and it's a negative work environment and you know you can change it to get a positive work environment, maybe those are the steps that you need to take. It's not easy, it's not going to be fun all the time, but the end goal is sometimes better than the quick goal. So chapter 7 is the law of design. To maximize your growth, develop strategies. This is a big proponent of this author, John C. Maxwell. He believes in systems. You know, you have to make a daily schedule, you got to make a schedule, you got to make a plan, you have to execute your schedule, and you have to execute your plan. Very simple. Law of design. Design a plan to maximize your growth and go smash the plan, because that will help your growth. period. Chapter 8, the law of pain. Good management of bad experiences leads to growth. You're not gonna grow without failing. Mistakes with the right guidance after the mistakes and the right steps after the mistakes leads to growth, leads to learning. You know, you got to learn from your mistakes. You have to, I'm a true proponent of experiences equals learning. So you got to do something and you're never going to be good at it. So it's okay. You're never going to get it right the first time. But as long as you do it, and you get your feet wet and you dip your toe in, you got a little bit of experience, you can only go up from there. So chapter 9 is the law of the ladder. Character growth determines the height of your personal growth. So you have to grow your character, your inner person, you know, who you are as a person. You need to really develop that. And everybody's different as a person, so it's okay if you're not the exact person maybe you thought you wanted to be, or you thought you could emulate, because that person's not you. You just be yourself. And truly focusing on being better on the inside than the outside will really help you just be better on the outside. You know, once you work on the inside, it's all gonna fall into place. So if you're really worried about what your outside image looks like, well, your inside image truly emulates your outside image, and that's facts. All right, so chapter 10 is the law of the rubber band. Growth stops when you lose the tension between where you are and where you could be. This is something that everybody needs to hear on a constant, you know. If you lose focus of the overall end goal, it's gonna be really hard to just keep that passion, keep that consistency, keep that fire burning. Every day you gotta really wake up. Systems, schedules help you. You know, you gotta get in that mindset, you gotta get in that flow state. You have to understand what's the big picture, what's the big goal, the law of the rubber band. You got to keep that tension. Once that tension snaps or once that tension loosens, it's going to be really hard to tighten it back up. So never lose that tension. This is something that nobody wants to hear. Chapter 11, the law of trade-offs. You have to give up to grow up. You have to sacrifice something to be able to grow. Whether that's time, whether that's people, whether that's money, whatever it may be. There's something in your life that you do maybe too much of, or you just don't need it, or you're not valuing it the right way, and you're gonna have to give it up. You're gonna have to sacrifice it, and with sacrifice comes growth, and with growth comes sacrifice. So the law of the trade-off. You have to give up to grow up. Chapter 12 is the law of curiosity. Growth is stimulated by asking why. Very simple. You got to be a curious person. Understand your passions, understand what you care about, and go dig into those things that you're curious about. Learn, grow, constantly grow, learn. Every day you should learn something new. Where does curiosity come from? It comes from your passion. It comes from what you truly care about. So once you can figure out that, just dig into your curiosities and just learn in different ways and focus on yourself so you can learn other things while focusing on yourself. Chapter 13, the law of modeling. It's hard to improve when you have no one but yourself to follow. So this comes after the whole don't compare yourself to others, you know, look at your own work. You know, you got to value yourself. You got to look at your own work and really figure out what it is you need to grow at. But once you get to a point where you're growing and you're learning and you're staying consistent and you're putting in that work, you kind of do need somebody to look to. You need a mentor. So finding a true mentor, someone that does what you do, someone that has achieved the goals that you want to achieve, is something that you should really strive to gain and go look for. Definitely. The law of modeling. You dig. Chapter 14, one more after this, the law of expansion. Growth always increases your capacity. Stop thinking more work and start thinking what works. Stop doing only those things you have done before and start doing those things you should and could do. You gotta start taking responsibility and accountability for your actions and your goals. You have to start taking accountability and responsibility for your future. Period. And that is the law of expansion. So the last chapter, chapter 15, the law of contribution. Growing yourself enables you to grow others. This, when I finished this book, I realized I have to try to influence somebody, right? That's what he's talking about. So the least I could do is make a video about this book. And if you're interested in buying this book, the link will be in the description. I'll hold you guys down. Very solid book. But the law of contribution, you know, do other things for other people, and eventually that energy, that positivity will come back to you. Give and you shall receive. I'm a big proponent of that. I think it's much easier said than done, but once you do it, you feel really good, and it feels good to say it. So definitely law of contribution. But the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John C. Maxwell, I highly recommend it. You know, a little bit of maybe a simpler book for some advanced readers, maybe a harder book for some beginner readers, but definitely a book that I would recommend. Gets right down to the point. It's not, I wouldn't say it's the same regurgitated stuff. I would say maybe if you've read a bunch of growth books, maybe it can say some of the similar things, but I think it's a very valuable book, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that like button, check out my channel. Take it easy, y'all.